Hey y'all, Barris Bridge here. This week, I just want to address our nation's pandemic, actually our global pandemic, the COVID-19, also known as coronavirus. I felt it my responsibility to address this issue before uploading any other types of videos on any other topics. I know that we're still doing the love series, and that will continue after this post is uploaded. So, what I wanted to say is in honor and respect of our government, our society, and everyone involved who are taking the precautionary measures to put this virus under wraps. And I believe that as a whole, we're handling this issue well. So if you don't know already what coronavirus is, or the COVID-19, it is a respiratory illness. And researchers, scientists, doctors have said that you can catch it through your eyes, nose, mouth. And so basically, it travels through your respiratory tract and your respiratory system. And so that's how this virus infects you and causes the illnesses and symptoms that it does. Some of these symptoms are coughing. A major symptom is shortness of breath. But then there's also minor symptoms like sneezing, stomach ache, headache, minor things like that. And one thing that CDC recommends is that if you are experiencing symptoms, it is better to get yourself checked out. There's also newfound information that some people who are affected by coronavirus aren't experiencing any symptoms. So people can be walking around, not coughing, not shortness of breath, nothing like that, but still be infected by the coronavirus. And so that's scary because I myself or another person can be infected and not realize as they're going about their daily routine of work, school, or whatever it is, they won't realize that they could be passing it on to other people if they're not taking the precautionary measures. Precautionary measures such as washing your hands, sanitizing your hands, also covering your hands with gloves while taking public transportation, also covering your mouth and nose with those masks. They have the P95 mask, they have other masks that are available for you. Because of the shortage of masks and gloves and hand sanitizer, a lot of places are selling these things for a ridiculous amount. I mean, the other day, I spoke to a friend and he ran into one of those street carts that are selling hand sanitizers about this size for like $15 a pop. And then I also heard the other day from a friend who was helping me put together my bed set, that he had ran into another one of those carts and they're selling the big box of face masks for about $80. So, I mean, if you live in a big city like where I live in New York City, or if you live in Los Angeles or Philadelphia, any big city in our nation, you know that there's a shortage of these things. And because of the shortage and the demand, obviously people are gonna up the prices and oh man, it's crazy. When I first heard about COVID-19 or coronavirus, I didn't think that it would get to this. When I first heard about it, I actually heard about it online, and not just online, but I was also at a church service, and the pastor was talking about, he was just giving us updates on like news, and when he came to coronavirus, he explained that This was a virus that was contagious and that it was traveling fast. And so that was about 3 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago, I was mentoring one of my youth, and we had gone to the National Museum of History. And he's from upstate. And so he usually comes down to the city, and then we go to whatever it is that we're doing. So on that Saturday, we went down to the National Museum of History, and he came down and he was like, he had his face mask, he had his hand sanitizer. And so this kid who was very up to date with our national news, like he knew that this was a serious and detrimental virus. Well, we went to the city, and he was more prepared than I was. He had his face mask, he had his gloves. I had my hand sanitizer though, just in case, because we were taking public transportation. And that's another thing that that you need to be very cautious of while you're taking public transportation. Just keep in mind that if you're on a bus or on a train and you have to hold the poles, there's usually poles on our New York trains like this, but they're a little bit smaller. You could hold them easier. But people usually have to hold these, and they hold them I've seen people hold it all the way up here while they're standing. I've seen people hold it all the way down here while they're standing. And so that thing is being touched all day long, and you never know who's touching it and if that person that's touching it is infected with COVID-19. And so that's why it's important to just be wary of the fact that that virus can stay on the pole for up to 72 hours. Usually when I go on the train, like when I did that Saturday, I usually just take my wrist and just hold on like that, or I take the end of the jacket and I hold on like that, or just like that. And sometimes when it comes down to it, I have to hold like this. And so I keep in mind, if I'm holding it like this, not to ever put my hands in my face or my eyes, or next to my nose or my mouth or anywhere. Or even if you're going right out of the train and you're going to eat, do not put your hands right away on your fork or spoon or utensils. Be sure to sanitize your hands. And it's important to take these precautionary measures because it has been said in research and statistics that it is preventing a lot more cases of the coronavirus or the COVID-19. And so the CDC, Centers for Disease Controls, they're predicting that in the next few weeks, 50 to 70% of our nation's population will be infected by the COVID-19, which is ridiculous. Like when I heard that, I'm like, like, really? So to prevent those, continue to take those precautionary measures. And that's not saying that you have to be in fear or be panicky about the situation. We're saying to be wise about the situation, okay? I'm a Christian, and like I was telling you about going to church, a lot of us in church have an unbelievable amount of faith in our God, and an unwavering faith in our God, and a consistent faith in a God who's consistent. And so as a follower of Jesus Christ, I have the peace and I'm rest assured that whatever is to be, and it is the will of God who protects me. And he is my refuge, he is my sanctuary, and he is even my healer. Not to say that there's no way I would catch the COVID or the coronavirus, not to say that I don't need to take any precautionary measures towards preventing from catching this. What I'm saying is that I have peace in the midst of this situation. So I don't need to panic or have fear towards the result or outcome of what could be. And that's why I commend all of Christians nationwide. I think we have been some of the leaders in this day, particularly because a lot of us are resting assuredly in our God and in our faith. Like, I've been watching different sermons from different churches, and we're all preaching that same message to have the peace in this situation, because this coronavirus will not take us out as a nation or as a global or as a human race. It is just a passing detriment or chaotic situation that we're going to have to get through together. And so I commend the Christians, I commend our local, state, and government representatives who are also taking the necessary measures, like shutting down, like our Mayor de Blasio shut down New York City on Sunday and Monday nights because of this pandemic, and he's doing it in order to protect us, because they're saying that if we're gonna allow ourselves to be in big groups and just recklessly do whatever we want, then we're causing the risk of this thing of spreading to be much higher than if we just had taken the precaution. So that's why schools are out until April. That's why restaurants and other places are closing earlier than they usually do. That's why buses and trains are being shut down around 7 or 8 o'clock. That's why supermarkets are being left open so that people can continue to restock on supplies and goods that they need. That's another thing I want to talk about, is just the irresponsibility of citizens that are taking a ridiculous amount of like goods and supplies. I know that we need things like toilet paper, paper towel, and canned goods, foods, veggies, fruits. We need these things. But when you're taking an excessive amount that you don't need, I think it's irresponsible, because you're leaving out the other people who are in lack of need. And so those people are left out of being able to get toilet paper and paper towel and simple, toiletries like that. And so I think that we need to be more responsible when it comes to shopping at supermarkets. Want to encourage those who have an excessive amount to keep an ear and an eye open for your neighbors who are in lack. And so be willing to share, be willing to be generous with your excessive amount, whether it's food, goods, or you probably make a home cooked meal and you have extra. And so you give extra to your neighbor, to your friend. And let's just be more responsible and considerate when it comes to our supplies, our foods, and our goods. In this time, I want to encourage all of the leaders out there. If you consider yourself a leader, if you consider yourself a person of influence, if you consider yourself someone that has responsibility, continue to do those responsible things well, continue to lead well, continue to be the artist that you are, the creator that you are, the teacher that you are, the counselor that you are, the coach that you are, the student, the player that you are, the doctor that you are, the lawyer that you are. I could go on a list of just leaders out there in our society, in our world. Continue to be those things for the people who are panicky and in fear, because there's more people who are in fear right now and less of the leaders who are saying, I'm going to be courageous in this pandemic. I'm going to be strong in this pandemic. I'm going to be what a lot of our weaker counterparts are not being right now. And that's all for today. I will definitely get to you guys for the next love video. And that one, we're going to be talking about love as a whole. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening, day, rest of the week. Be blessed.